We're at Southern Conference Football Media Day. I'm Dave Friedman, and that is Mike Jacobs, the defending champion in the Southern Conference, which you would think is a really good thing because you guys had a terrific season last year, but there have been 6 different champions the last 6 years. So what do you have to do to repeat?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We've been talking about our team about that. If you go back and you look at it, is that year after the championship. Now, some of those are pre-portal or the portal hadn't hit quite as hard yet. And, so you had a lot of like senior-laden teams that were coming through and winning the SoCon when they had guys that had been there and developed. And so now, with the ability to replace some key losses through the portal and through high school recruiting, the expectations are that we have an opportunity to compete again in 2025.
The defense was elite last year.
Yeah.
Now you have to rebuild that. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it starts up front at the line of scrimmage, right? We have some, we're blessed. Andrew Zox coming back and is going to be a preseason All-American. He's a freshman of the year in the conference last year. So, I mean, that's a tremendous foundational piece. And then you have a couple other senior defensive linemen in Jordan Swain and Caden Camise who have played a lot of football for us and maybe ready to step up and take a more prominent role in what we're doing. To me, the biggest thing is the linebacker room, replacing guys like Isaac Dowling, Marquez Thomas, and things like that. Like that's the greatest unknown for us. But Julian Fox, Mick Wasan are both kids that have played a bunch of football for us on special teams. We really like what freshman Mac Bradley's done so far. So, and then we got a bunch of guys in the back half that have played as well. So looking forward to it.
What about on offense? DJ Smith started last year at quarterback and then got banged up, and obviously your offense rolled along. Is he the guy?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, every position's wide open in training camp. We want as much competition, and we want it to be heated competition. DJ's a known commodity. He did a great job for the most part protecting the football last year until he's a little banged up there. But he made a bunch of plays and he helped us with that fast start last year to go 6-0 early in the season. But we've also added to the room. We had freshman early enrollee Braden Atkinson has looked really good since the moment he got on campus. JP Pickles is a transfer from UTEP who played in some games out there last year and does a good job. And then Jake Wilson is a Purdue transfer. So that room will be highly competitive. They got a great stable, wide receivers and tight ends to throw to, and we're looking forward to who comes out on top.
You're replacing last year's offensive and defensive conference players of the year. You talked a little bit about the defense. Who could be the offensive playmakers that are the guys that fans can't take their eyes off of?
Yeah, I think, again, from the running back position, losing Dwayne McGee, who had been with me through LR and a few other. Talking about a kid that had 6,000 yards in his career, and but CJ Miller was really good for us last year. We played a stable of backs, but CJ Miller was real good, rushed for over 400 yards last year. He's a bit of a thumper back there. We did take Octavius Eisen, who's an all-conference player at Charleston Southern, will be with us this year, and I think both of those kids have a chance, as well as Tyrell Cord and Micah Bell. So we like the depth in that room. Although Dwayne McGee's not with us, there's guys that have played a bunch of football there. And then in the wideout room, I think you saw Ajate Dabbs towards the end of the year really had a huge game in the Furman game, and then into the playoffs. Kendall Harris has been really consistent for us. Young man we redshirted last year, Javaris George, I think is set to make some plays. And then Adonis McDaniel, a transfer from Lenore Ryan, was a 1,000-yard receiver last year. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg in that room. And then added Malik Simmons, a tight end transfer, who we feel is a really quality player. And so all in all, the good news is the position we had the most coming back on was the offensive line. And so feel really good about the direction of that group and the depth and where it's headed. And so we feel good about it.
Week 0, neutral site game, national television, a good UC Davis team.
Absolutely.
Do you like getting going early?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we just probably like the conference aspires for. Like, we want to be known as a national program, and to put the SoCon, to put Mercer University football on the national stage against a Big Sky football team that finished in the top 10 last year, very similar to us, right? First-year head coach, and they they came out and they played really well in the playoffs. And so, we know we'll have our hands full, but I'd much rather have a challenging game than somebody where our kids aren't locked in and focused.
When you go through the SoCon, last year you saw it, you felt it. What did you find?
I think it's the most competitive conference, top to bottom, because the unique thing is we're the ones that play each other, right? We're one of the few, if not the only, conference where every team, week in and week out, you have to put it on the line against the SoCon team, and sometimes to the detriment of the conference, unfortunately, because there's so many good football teams. There's no gimmies in this conference. It's darn good football.
Do you feel that beating up on each other kind of has a negative result in playoff berths or rankings because it's hard?
You essentially cannibalize one
Right.
another, and so you really, you have to week in and week out. You have to be just a really consistent football team in this conference. You have to be able to defend folks. You got to be able to score points, and you got to get lucky every now and again. And it's every single week in the SoCon.
What is your formula? You did it at LR, at Mercer. What's the secret sauce?
Yeah, there's no secret. The biggest thing is you have to have great football players, right? Everything, it's player-driven completely. I've been very fortunate to have a bunch of staff consistency over 3 different universities at 2 different levels, and I think that consistency helps. And then I think it's our, we place an extreme emphasis on the basics of football, man. Like you have to be really good at the line of scrimmage period if you want to win championships, and that's running the football, that's stopping the run, and that's being a lead on special teams. And when you do that and you make it hard and you don't beat yourself, you're in almost every football game you play. You give yourself a chance.
You were at Notre Dame in Ohio and at Lenore-Rhine in Hickory, North Carolina, now at Mercer. When you go up those levels, is football, or what do you see as the big differences?
Yeah, football's football. I think certainly nowadays at our level, the FCS level is seen mimicked even at the P4 level. Just the size of the support staff and some of the additional help that we have on that end of things, both in the recruiting department and the operations. I think the size and the speed of the body types at the line of scrimmage is probably the biggest thing. There's skill guys at any level, all the way down to Division III that can compete day in and day out, I think. But just the overall size and skill development of the offensive and defensive lines is probably the most noticeable difference.
You set the bar so high in year one, but some of those stats that sometimes don't go one way, go the other way the next year, plus 12 turnover differential, 3-0 in really tight games. What is the expectation for this year's team?
Yeah, that we compete for the SoCon championship. That's it. Again, we not only want to be a consistent winner in this conference, we want to be the first team to have an opportunity to potentially go back-to-back in 7 years. And we want to be a national program, and to do that, we have to be consistent. And as boring as that may sound, that's really what it takes. People's interests wane, players' interests wane when it gets tough, and so not settling, not being complacent, and continuing to push forward each and every week. And yeah, we expect to be competitive in a highly competitive conference.
Give us a key or two. Obviously the consistency, but if somebody steps up, if you do something well, this will be a great season.
Yeah, if we can find a way to replace some of the production that we had on probably an all-decade or generational type defense, honestly, at least from a statistical standpoint, and then we continue to grow and develop and continue to evolve our offense to a little more of what we do and how we do things with the type of players that we like to do them with. I think that'll give us an opportunity to win.
When you say what we do on offense, what do you mean?
Well, just different from the previous staff, right? Where he was in a version of almost a unique one-on-one offense, what Coach Cronick ran, and a version of the wing T, and we're a little more traditional and pro style, and but just getting some different body types at the line of scrimmage and that kind of stuff.
Last year was so fun to watch. Can't wait to watch the game down in Montgomery and throughout the year.
It's going to be a big one, right?
It is, and it may be warm down there.
Just a little bit, right? 6 p.m. in Montgomery, Alabama in August. Yeah, I think it'll be plenty warm for everybody.
The nation will be watching. Good luck.
Absolutely, can't wait.
Mike Jacobs, the head coach of the Mercer Bears.